Hey everybody, my name is Byron. I'm an instructor at the Crescent School of Gaming and Bartending in Las Vegas, and today we're going to be talking about pushing stacks in roulette. In the game of roulette, whenever a player wins, we have to send stacks of their color to them. We don't want to do it in a way that we can't keep an eye on our value checks, so we're going to show you guys exactly how to push the stacks. But this is a very easily overlooked part of the game that a lot of people or a lot of dealers tend to not practice as much as they should. The way I'm going to show you guys how to push stacks in this lesson is not the only way to push these stacks. It's a way, it's not the way. So you can come up with your own way to push stacks if you want, but it does have a couple of requirements that it needs to meet. The first requirement is it must be done with a single hand. Yes, you may go to the casinos and you'll probably see dealers using two hands to push stacks, but that's not a proper way because it often causes you to turn your back on your house value checks. So every push is going to be done with a single hand. I don't care if you have a small hand or you have a big hand. I teach a lot of people how to push stacks here, and I have for years. Almost every single person that I have taught has been able to push it with a single hand. Don't say you can't do it, you just haven't practiced enough. The second requirement is that your hand cannot completely cover the top of any of the stacks that you're pushing. You can put a finger or two on top of the stacks in order to make it stable. That's totally fine, but you don't want to completely put a palm over the top of the entire thing. The last requirement is that the push must be stable. You don't want to be trying to balance one stack in front of another. You want to be able to actually push a group and steer it if you can. Just in case you happen to send it to the wrong person for some reason, you can switch gears while you're already across the layout and change direction. If you're trying to balance something the entire time, it's not a really good look on the dealer. You want to have a sense of control. Now that we understand the purpose of pushing stacks, we understand the requirements in order to do so, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it. It's going to be a lot easier to show you from my perspective so you guys can see it from a first-person view. So I'm going to flip the camera around so you guys can look at the video when you're practicing, and you can look down at the table and you can match my hands exactly and see if that push works for you. So let me flip the camera around and let's get started with that. All right, you guys, we're going to start with one stack and then we're going to work our way up from there. So starting with one stack, we don't want to grab the stack over the top like this and then hand that off to the player because we could steal money from them. So what we want to do is use your pointer finger, preferably take your nail and put your nail flat on top. But if your hands are too small, you can put the tip of your nail on top like that. Use your middle finger and thumb to grab the base, kind of like this. And then that's how we want to hand stuff off to the players. We want to be able to do that with both right hand and left hand. That's how we're going to grab a single stack. That's how we're going to send a single stack. You also want to have the ability to slide the stack there and back and slide it there and back with both hands. So now let's move on to two. So for these pushes, I'm going to show you alternative ways to push them, but I'm going to show you my way, because my way, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in some cases 6 is pushed the exact same way. So when you have two, what I like to do is I like to kind of karate chop the table. You're going to stick your pinky out. The pinky is the most important part of pushing stacks because that's kind of like your foundation to keep everything from slipping out from under here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pinky between me and that first stack. Then the ring finger is going to sit right in that little crack. Make sure that you don't force the stacks apart with your ring finger. So we're going to put pinky, ring finger, middle finger, and your thumb is going to sit right at the tip of your pinky. Now when we go to push these stacks, we don't want to push straight like that because if I end up going this way and I have to turn that way, I could lose that stack. So what I want to do instead is I kind of want to cant it a little bit and push almost at a diagonal like this. That way, if I have to go the other way, I can go the other way, and I'm not going to lose my stacks. So make sure that we can do that with both left hand and right hand. Pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb, same thing. We're just going to push in this direction, just like that. Now I'm going to show you another way you can push two stacks. The other way you can do is you can put your pointer finger right in the middle, do middle finger, thumb, and that's how you can push two stacks as well. Yet again, this is not the only way to push these stacks. This is just a couple of different variations. So let's move on to 3. So when we go to push 3 stacks, first what I want you to do is get back in your 2-stack configuration. So pinky, ring finger, middle finger, and take your thumb right over here. All you're going to do is you're going to extend your thumb out here a little bit, and this is going to come join the party. And your thumb will support that one. Your direction of travel will be right here, split between the two. That's the direction that we're going to push those stacks. Pretty simple. Yet again, using our left hand, we're still going to grab our stacks just like this. Pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb. Kick your thumb out a little bit, bring this one in, and that is our direction of travel. Another way to push 3 stacks, similar to the original 2-stack push I showed you, the alternative version, pointer finger, middle finger, thumb. This one will just sit on top and it's along for the ride. Pretty easy to do. Same thing if we wanted to do our left hand. Same thing. Let's move on to 4. Now when we go to push 4, first I want you to get back in your original 3 push. So pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb, right there. All you're going to do is put this 4th one right in the middle, and these 2 will support this one. Now when you go to push these stacks, you don't want these 2 to drift apart. You want to keep them together, and we use our middle finger and our thumb to kind of squeeze that together a little bit, just kind of keep them corralled in together. So we're going to push it just like that. The pointer finger just hangs out. It doesn't really do anything. Our right hand would be the same thing. Pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb, and then we're going to push. Exact same thing. Now make sure when you guys are pushing these stacks, you're pushing the very bottom chip on all of these stacks. Every finger that's contacting these should be pushing the very bottom, because if we push the bottom, we control the entire stack. But if we're not pushing the bottom, we have a tendency to have stuff slide out, or we can just knock the entire stack over. This is another way you can push 4 stacks. I have the full towers over here, but I'm just going to show you guys flat because it might be easier for you to see what my fingers are doing. So another way you can push 4 stacks is you can go palm up, have your pinky over here, ring finger over there, kind of like this. Your middle finger, pinky here, ring finger there. Middle finger will go right next to it, and your thumb will stretch around and contact that one. So this is how that push will look. Your pointer finger just sits here, it just dangles, it doesn't do anything. But that is also a way that you can push 4 stacks. If I was using my right hand, I can do the same thing. Now doing it with full stack, same thing. These 2 will go in, middle finger, thumb, and that's my push. Now before we incorporate this 5th stack, I want you to go back into the position that you used to grab 4 in this orientation. I'll show you a different way in a little bit. So we're going to do the same thing as before. I'm actually going to do the flat version here really quick so you can see what's going on. So we're going to go pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb. And when we incorporate the next stack, the 5th stack, all we're going to do is we're going to take our middle finger and we're going to kick it out a little bit. Right there. So we're still pushing these 4. We're still pushing this diamond this way. This one is just along for the ride. So when we go to push, this one is barely being held in place by our middle finger. Now, if you notice, if you try to use your right hand for this, if I try to use my right hand doing it this way, the same way I did before, it's going to be a little bit harder to keep that together because we have this setup arranged, or we have this arranged in a 3-2 fashion. The 3 wants to be on the side of the hand, or the palm, basically. The palm is going to be closer to the side that has 3. I'll get in my position, and I'll push in this direction. So I'll push that way, that works. So if I want to use my right hand, I want the 3 on the right side. I'll get in my position, pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb, and I'm going to push in this direction this time. And that works. So let's do it to a full stack. So since I'm going to be using my left hand, I'm going to make sure that I have the 3 on the left side. I'm going to go pinky, ring finger, middle finger, thumb will be touching right here, and then I'm going to push in this direction. There's my push. We want to be able to do this with our right hand as well. So we're going to go pinky, ring finger, middle finger is going to touch right here, thumb, and we're going to push in that direction. There you go. Now here's another way that you guys can push 5. I don't recommend pushing it at its widest point, because if you have a lot of bets out here, it's going to be difficult to push it across the table if you only have a narrow corridor. Otherwise, you have to go all the way around. So pushing it more narrow like this is a better option most of the time. But if you insist on pushing it sideways, you can push it this way. Yet again, there's a lot of different ways. This is just only one of the ways I'm going to show you. So you can choose by doing this, putting those two right here, and then your ring finger and thumb will take that place, and you can push it like that if you want to. Or you can choose to lay your hand flat like this, curl these first two fingers, and you can grab it like that. I'm kind of taking my fingertips and I'm kind of putting them right up to the top, and that's how I'm going to push that stack. Same thing with the right hand. We'll put those two there, this one here, and we'll push that stack. Or I'll do the other way where I want to curl those two fingers, get them right up there, use my ring finger, my thumb, and I'll push that stack just like that. If you want to push these stacks in an extremely unprofessional, lazy way, you could lay your hand completely flat like this, put it up against the stack just like that, and then push it like that. I do not recommend this. One second, you guys. If you happen to find any value in this video so far and you're interested in supporting us, you can actually go to the video description and buy us a coffee. We've partnered with a website that's called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can literally do just that and you could buy us a coffee. Aside from that, we would probably use the funds towards upgrading our equipment so we can continue to provide these free lessons for you. But if donating is too much for you and you want a free way, just simply subscribing and liking the video will help us in the algorithm, and that's a great way to help us as well. So I'm not going to get in your hair any longer. Go ahead and continue the lesson. I'll see you in there. Now, if we want to push 6 stacks, first, let's get in the same position that we had our 4 in, like this. So pinky, ring finger will go right here in this crack, middle finger, thumb. This one, we're going to stretch our middle finger out a little bit. This one is going to be along for the ride. And then you can put this one right on top there. And our direction of travel is between here and kind of off center. It's kind of following this diamond a little bit is kind of where we're going. And that is another way that you can push those stacks. If you wanted to push 6 stacks with your right hand, you would want to set it up in this orientation. And we do the same thing. Pinky's going to be back here. I'll push it up a little bit for you. Pinky, ring finger, middle finger is going to touch this stack right up here. Thumb will be here. And then we're going to push in this direction. Another way to push 6 stacks that looks a little bit more professional is to make it into a triangle. The point of the triangle will be the direction of travel. So what we can do is we can lay our hand flat, curl these 2 fingers, just like that. Kind of use the fingertips a little bit. I kind of use the nail to touch that center stack. Then my ring finger is going to touch here. My thumb is going to touch there. And I'm going to go perfectly straight, making sure I maintain all 3 of these moving at the exact same time. So let's give that a shot. I'll show you doing it with my right hand. So I'm going to lay flat, curl the 2, put it up there. Got my ring finger, thumb, and these 2 are just going to go right up to that center stack. And then give that a push. Keep in mind that when we push the stacks, we're pushing them with one hand. But if we have to retrieve stacks from a player, we use 2 hands to retrieve. But we don't want to cover the tops and pull it back. We want to keep the tops exposed and pull that in. Another way that we can push 6 stacks in a triangle form is we can go palm up. We can do pinky, ring finger. That's pinky, that's ring finger, just like that. And we can use our thumb on this side and our middle finger right over here. And we can push it just like that. If I happen to be moving too fast for you guys, just keep in mind, this is on YouTube. You guys can go to the settings and slow the video down if you need to. So I'm going to show you what this looks like with my right hand. I'm going to do the same thing, pinky, ring finger, middle finger, and my thumb is going to go all the way over here. And we can push these stacks just like that. Now that we're going to do 7 stacks, the shape is going to change a bit. We're going to move on to what we refer to as the flower. Now, if you want to push 7, don't be intimidated. It just takes a little bit of practice, but this is actually one of my favorite ones. So the way I like to push this is I think rock star, like we're going to rock out, right? So we're going to make sure we have 2 side by side, flat, closest to us, and we're going to bring that straight down, go straight up. Notice the shape, matches our hand perfectly. And the secret here is your thumb. You want your thumb to go under your pointer finger and touch this stack right there. Make sure that your wrist is not on the table. We want to keep your wrist off the table, and then we're going to push straight ahead. I'm going to do it with my right hand this time. Same thing, Rockstar or Spider-Man, whatever you like. Now I'm going to come straight down to like that, match it up. Thumb is going to go underneath. That's the secret right there. And then I'm just going to push straight. 8 stacks is going to be exactly the same, except it's just going to be a flower with a point. And the point is the direction of travel. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my right hand, Rockstar. Go ahead and line that up. Use your thumb. And then we're going to push that straight ahead. If the Rockstar method doesn't work well for you, you can do a different version. Let me show you. Since 7 stacks and 8 stacks are pushed the exact same way, I'm going to be showing you guys just flat on how you can do this differently. So you guys can either put your pinky across these two, like this, or you can put both of your fingers here across like that. A lot of people tend to like this one. Your middle finger will be right here, and your thumb will stretch all the way over to here. This would be your push. So now we're just going to push it straight. The left hand would be the same way. We're going to take these two and fold them, just like that. You're going to have your middle finger, your thumb right over there, and that is going to be your push. So now we're going to go to the full stacks. Your left hand is going to be the exact same way. I'm going to grab it just like that, so fold those 2 fingers. Then it's going to be middle finger, and thumb is going to stretch all the way over here, and that is going to be your push. Next is going to be 9 stacks. So the way this works is usually you would have it set up like this. Some floor people prefer this shape because the floor people know what these shapes are. They know that this is 180. So when you call floor for approval for anything 100 or more, and they know that this shape is 180, you'll get your approval pretty quick because they recognize the shapes. So after you receive approval, you're going to move this over here, and then you're going to push this partial triangle to the player. Remember, we do not use 2 hands. 2 hands is not a professional way to push stacks. So let's talk about how to push this shape. In order to push this one, do just pinky thumb. This is how I do it, but there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. So what I do is I take my knuckle, my middle knuckle, I end up putting it just like this. This is the table, and it's flat just like that. And I end up putting that middle knuckle right in the center. I get right up in there. The pointer finger and the ring finger are just going to scoot up a little bit to support these two. Your pinky and your thumb are doing most of the work here. Now, when you go to push, it's imperative that all 4 of these stacks move up at the exact same time. If they do not move at the same time, the whole thing's going to fall apart. So for example, if I were to go push this stack, and let's say I decided to do this, which seems to be very common with a lot of my students, that means that your pinky is applying too much force here. These 3 are still together, but your pinky put too much force. So you need to back that force off a little bit. If I went to go push my stacks, and let's say that I had all of these move forward, these are staying together, but this one is lagging behind. I need to put more force into my thumb to level those out. So let's see what that push looks like all together. Get your line up, and make sure they all move at the same time. Using my right hand, I can do the same thing. I'm going to go pinky thumb, middle knuckle, get my pinky and my thumb in position, and then there's my push. Make sure they all move at the same time. The last one we need to do, complete the triangle. This is going to be 200 units. This is the biggest shape that we push. If we have anything more than this shape, we're simply just going to put anything else right on top. So we push it the exact same way, but because we have this extra stack, there's a little bit more drag, there's a little bit more weight. That can help you, but it can also hurt you. If your balance down here is not great, you will probably have a bad time. So let's give it another shot. We still go middle knuckle, support the other 2 here with pointer finger and ring finger. Pinky's already sticking out there, and there's my thumb. And then let's give it a push. Another way that you can push these stacks is by putting your hand flat, curling your first 2 fingers, and these 2, pointer finger is going to support this one, middle finger is going to support that one. And then you have your ring finger and your thumb, and then make sure they all move at the same time. All right, you guys, that's how you push stacks. This takes a lot more practice than you probably think. We need to make sure that we practice pushing stacks with both left hand and right hand. Reason why is because where the dealer is standing and to my right, there's the wheel. So the right hand would be responsible for spinning the ball, cutting checks, spinning the wheel, but the left hand will be mostly responsible for pushing checks out to the players. On left wheel, the roles are reversed. So we have to be able to not only cut checks or spin the ball with both hands, we also have to be able to push stacks with both hands. If you guys are interested in continuing your education with this game, you guys can click on this video right over here, where you can learn the different rules of the wheel itself that we have to follow. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to the Crescent School of Gaming and Bartending for allowing us to film on their property and use their equipment. This is an amazing school, and if you're interested in possibly becoming part of the school, go ahead and look in the video description where you can ask to be contacted by them and possibly, if approved, get all of this for free. So take a look in the description for that. All right, and that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next video.